But I think the main things is at the end of the day, volleyball is volleyball. It's in the same 9x9 court, and the rules are the same. So we. Is that on the back of your shirt?
Yeah, it's on the back of the shirt.
You did. A little free shout out for you. And it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net. You need to still execute to the best of your ability if you want a chance to win.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Volleyball is volleyball, and welcome to the 81 square meters of the best volleyball on the internet, the 9x9. And guys, we've been through 2 months of just fantastic volleyball, and it all has come close to now, as Serbia has repeated as women's world champions. Congratulations to Tijana Bošković and co. as they repeated with a clean 3-0 win over Brazil in the finals. My name is Everett Delorme, joined as always by my friendly neighbor to the south, Mr. Rob St. Clair. Rob, how you doing? We won't talk about the Packers tonight. Let's just jump right in to what was a phenomenal end to the Women's World Championships here in 2022 with Serbia. Absolutely perfect run. They remain undefeated throughout the entirety of the tournament and repeat as world champions.
And the new number 1 team in the world on the women's side. We've talked about the rankings a lot this summer. They are what they are, but a little icing on the cake there for the Serbians. But yeah, the repeat is the obvious storyline. It was a perfect run for Serbia from start to finish. They played the cleanest, most consistent volleyball in the world the entire tournament. It was funny that they randomly dropped 2 sets in pools to Bulgaria, and that was kind of the furthest they were pushed the entire tournament, other than the Poland match in the round of 8, which was incredible. But once they got past that, it was clearly Serbia's tournament to lose. They took every elite other team that stood in their way, and they made them largely look invisible. It was crazy the way that they were able to play their style of game and bend every other team in the world to the way that Serbia wanted to play, and not vice versa in any one of those matchups. The only one close was Poland, honestly. Poland was the only other team that was close to having the firepower to match up with Serbia. And because Serbia didn't end up having to go through Italy at any point, because as we'll talk about, Italy lost in the semifinal to Brazil, Serbia never really came across anybody that could even remotely come close to what Tijana Bošković gave them. And the obvious best player in the tournament, back-to-back MVP, Tijana Bošković was simply incredible. Her tournament numbers are just on another level.
Without a doubt. To me, it was Tijana Bošković reminding us who's the boss. Truly. And I mean, how she's kind of felt like since that 2018 World Championship, she's kind of fallen behind Agonu, who's dominated on the professional level the past few seasons, winning, the Champions League, making runs to the Champions League finals, the World Club finals, right? They didn't, do as well at the Olympics as they had hoped. And this to me was Tijana Bošković going out there being like, guys, I'm still the best opposite in the world, at least in my mind. And I can't really doubt that. I mean, before this tournament, I would have told you that Agonu was head over heels better than Bošković, but Bošković was absolutely sensational throughout this in the entirety of the tournament. And I mean, an obvious MVP nod for Bošković this time around.
Yeah, if you're looking at just this tournament, it's clear who the best player in the world was for just this tournament, and it's Tijana Bošković. And I think this is a conversation that we might need to have about, is it as clear as maybe we thought that Paula Egonu is the best player in the world on the women's side? Does Tijana Bošković have a legitimate argument in that case? And if you're talking about putting a team on your back and winning a world championship, Tijana Bošković for this tournament, again, is the best player in the world. I mean, listen to these numbers. This is for the whole tournament, all right? 219 kills for the tournament on 55% kill percentage. That is absolutely otherworldly. And let me calculate her efficiency really quick, because it's just as good. 394, 431. Oh my God, 431 efficiency.
That's a ridiculous efficiency,
When
especially considering how many matches we've played here. That's ridiculous.
we talked about it on the last show, and I think her efficiency
Wow.
on the tournament at that point was like 424. Then it just got better. She hit 431 on the tournament. 431. That is absolutely insane. Plus 13 blocks, 8 aces. It is truly and like clearly the best performance of any player in the world at this tournament. And you could argue one of the best world championship performances ever in history.
Yeah, 100% through and through. Like, at no point did she really waver. At no point, like, was she even off for any matches? Like,
I think
like,
she sat one, maybe 2 matches in pools, which was a smart move because, again, this is a marathon, not a sprint tournament, and Serbia wins the marathon.
She sat against Kazakhstan and she sat against Thailand. She only has 1 point against Thailand, right?
Well, that makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Other than that, she was putting up 20-point performances consistently. Only twice did she have under 20 points, right? And past that, twice she went over 30 points, like absolutely dominant. And you could just tell that she was in, like, you know, when like Kobe would get into that mode, or like LeBron would get into that mode, or God forbid Tom Brady would get into that mode. Tijana Bošković gets into that mode where it's just like it's go time. Like you could see it in the rise, and she was just absolutely dynamic. Like, and like no more so than at the end of the tournament. Like there was no question in her mind on yesterday on Saturday that who was going to win to that match.
So let's talk about that gold medal match. Serbia sweeps Brazil cleanly, very cleanly, 26-24, 25-22, 25-17 in the third. It was never even in question towards the end of that third set. Serbia forced Brazil into making a couple changes. So I mean, we've been talking about Brazil's outside hitter position throughout the tournament. Obviously, Gabi Guimar is one of the best players in the world, deserved not in the dream team, but next to her has been kind of a revolving door. Rosa Maria Montebello has been getting the starts lately. She was huge in the win against Italy, but they ended up benching her and Macris, the starting setter, in the third set. They bring in Tainara on the left side, which I hadn't seen up to this point. And I mean, I respect that. You're just trying to find some answers. They couldn't find any answers. Serbia was the better team. Serbia's attacking numbers, 52% kills as a team. 52% kills as a team. And this is
just on another level.
And this is getting outpassed by Brazil pretty significantly. 32% perfect passing, positive passing only for Serbia is not great compared to Brazil's 47%. But Tijana Bošković, 24 for 42 with only 7 errors, 57% kills. There's just nothing you can do against that. And there's a quick comment in the chat. Did Brazil choke? No. Brazil didn't choke at all. Brazil beating Italy was a massive bonus. But
I think they emptied the tank against Italy.
I think they did. I think they did too. And there was just nothing that they could do to slow Serbia and Tijana Bošković down.
Yeah, they just didn't have the firepower. They had the strategy against Italy, but for some reason that just wasn't there to the same level against Serbia in this one. And I don't know if like Bošković is just at such another level. I do think that with, you know, Dusa and the way that Durčić runs that offense, you got Stefanovic on the middle of that. I think Serbia has a little bit more to offer all around than Italy does. And maybe they don't have the big names elsewhere, but everyone kind of does their jobs. And I mean, really hats off to Durca here for the way she set this tournament. I mean, we were talking about how there's no Maja Odinjanović in this tournament. How is that going to affect Serbia? Like I didn't have as much confidence when I found out that she wasn't going to be on this roster, but Durca, there was no problem whatsoever. She picked this team up and ran and led them to an absolutely perfect performance.
Yeah, well-deserved nod on the all-tournament team for her as well. Let's check out the dream team really quick, then we can break down the gold medal match a little bit more. So obviously you've got the MVP, Tijana Bošković, and also the best opposite. The best outside hitters, Gabi from Brazil, slam dunk, no question there, and Miriam Silla from Italy. I was kind of interested in that pick. The middle blockers were Anna Danesi of Italy and Ana Carolina da Silva from Brazil. We can talk about that in a second. Durca, the setter, Bojana Durca was brilliant, and Teodora Pusic of Serbia at libero. So I think the main snub that people are talking about was Jovana Stevanovic, the Serbian middle blocker. Here's her stat line in the final: 5 for 11 attacking, 4 blocks and 2 aces for 11 points, and the second highest scorer on the team. I mean, what more could you want a middle to do? And in the match, in every match that I saw Serbia play, their break points came from two places. It was either Bošković out of system attacking in transition, or straight up Stevanovic stuff blocking people. Not only were her block numbers excellent, the timing and the situations where she was stuff blocking people, especially one-on-one against middles, I was really impressed. I thought she had the second best tournament of any middle other than Ana Carolina da Silva. So I mean, and I have all the respect in the world for Ana Denisi. I think she's awesome, but getting two Italians, two bronze medalists in there was a little weird, and leaving Stevanovic off I thought was a miss. But other than that, I think they got this one pretty close to correct, Dream Team wise.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't as grievously bad as the men's
The men's was rough.
Yeah, but 100%. Stevanovic is the only one. I mean, going back to scoring, like this wasn't just in the final where she was kind of consistently the second scorer. This was throughout the tournament, right? She finished third in scoring overall for Serbia throughout the tournament, but only 3 or 4 points behind Dusa on the left side, right? So I think Dusa scored 97 or 96, and she scored 93. So really not that far. And she also finished sixth in blocks overall in the tournament with 33. But that's kind of a lot, because we don't have the numbers of sets she's played compared to the other blockers, which is where that'd be important. That block to set ratio,
right.
Blocks per set would be important here. But I have to assume, given the fact that they lost three, maybe 4 sets throughout the entirety of the tournament, that Serbia
lost
played
5 sets.
Yeah, quite a few quite a bit less volleyball than any other team out there. I mean, if you look at Ana Carolina out there, like they played 5 in the quarterfinal, they played 4 in the semifinal, and got 3 donged in the final. But just a lot more volleyball for some of these other athletes.
Right. So looking back towards the final, I mean, there's a point that I've been talking about with this Serbian team and with Tijana Bošković in the last year or so, and I've said that last year in the Olympics, when the United States beat Serbia in the semifinal, I thought that the defensive job that Karchkarai and the United States did against Bošković was world class and was going to set some kind of blueprint on how to defend against her. Bošković came back after that VNL where she sat out. Serbia got bronze anyway. She came back, and her offensive skill set, I dare say, was head and shoulders better than it even was this time last year. I was most impressed with her line range, because what Karch did against her was basically take the line away and force her to hit deep cross court all the time, which is her favorite shot. But the U.S. tried to touch a bunch of balls and rotate their position 6 defender over. That is not what teams were doing in this tournament nearly as much. A lot of teams were trying to block her favorite shot, leave the line very, very open. And especially early in the matches against both the U.S. in the semis and Brazil in the finals, Bošković saw any amount of line and was hammering it early, which is exactly what you want to do. Take the shot that they're giving you, that even if it's not your favorite shot, and prove to other teams that you can hit that shot, make them take it away from you, so that down the stretch you can bang hard cross like you love to do.
To me, it looks like she's changed her approach angle a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
I can see it.
She was always kind of an outside in and be able to hit that high cross court, but she looks like she's coming on it a little bit more directly, so she has that line shot down the line. I wonder if that adjustment by Karch at the Olympics in Tokyo made her make that adjustment, because she was teeing off down the line at this tournament.
Oh, yeah, and it was beautiful to watch, and her contact point is so high. And she hits the ball so darn hard that it doesn't even matter if you set up well against her most of the time, because she'll either break all your fingers as a blocker or light you up as a defender, even if you are in the right spot. That it's tough to pop those balls up in the air. Like, that's just there's only so much you can do against pure raw size and power, and when you combine that with range and control, you produce something that kind of looks like the best player in the world.
And on top of that, as Andrew just pointed out in the chat, she's only 25.
Yeah,
and like, that's even scary that she's the oldest of this fantastic generation that we have coming up. Women's volleyball is about to get super scary and super good, and like this is just the beginning of it.
Yeah, Bošković 25, Egonu, Hawk, Stisiak, Karakurt's all younger than that, and all like budding superstars that we're going to be watching for the next 10 years. It's unbelievable. I do want to give a handful of shout outs to the rest of this Serbian team, because they really 100%. Do deserve it. This was obviously most of the point scoring came from Bošković, but that wasn't That doesn't win you a world championship by itself. There's a lot of other characters. We gave Dircha a lot of credit. I thought she set a great offense. I thought her setter dump was a factor in a lot of points, 3 for 3 on it in the finals. And then both outside hitters, Busha and Lozo, who ended up starting down the stretch, did a great job. I mean, Lozo 6 for 16 in the finals, Busha 8 for 17 in the finals, and very minimal errors. It's exactly what you want out of those two players, plus good backcourt defense and good enough reception. And then Teodora Pusic gets a lot of credit as well. Her passing numbers weren't quite as good in the finals there. But they were avoiding her a little bit more. I thought she was great all tournament. And also Daniele Santarelli, their coach, takes over the reins after the Olympics last year, and in his first major, he takes a team without his best player to bronze at VNL, and then he wins a world championship his first year out. What a year he's had with all of Caneliano's success as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's two things I want to touch on here. First and foremost, I think Serbia's depth really, really helped them through the tournament. Like, if you look at Mihailovic, who scored, 84 points throughout the entirety. If you look at how the points are divided throughout the tournament for this Serbian team, they got a lot of different players in, and that I think that really paid dividends for them throughout the longevity of the tournament. Other than Bošković, who was essentially Iron Woman, but just playing all of the minutes that she did. Alexis got in there and played important minutes. Mihailovic, as we talked about, just really spreading out on the offense. But also, how important do you think it was for Bošković not to be on that VNL team? For two reasons. First and foremost, you have players like Dusa who need to step up, who need to play, who need to kind of put that team on their back. But secondary, you allow Tijana Bošković to go and rest, to do some load management, if
Something
you will.
We do not have in volleyball.
Absolutely, right? Like, she gets a little bit of time off. She gets to rest a little bit, hang out with her family, see some friends, maybe, take a nice vacation, and just go tee off when the World Championships start. Like, I think the FIVB really needs to look at this and being like, look, we had our best performance from our best athlete who didn't participate in the VNL. What happens if we did that for all of our athletes? Just the thought.
Imagine that. We've said it many times on this show that we're very much with the players in the discussion of how much volleyball is played year round. It is far too much. And sure enough, if one player who happens to be one of the best players in the world has a more reasonable calendar, it produces much better volleyball in the biggest tournament. So yeah, who knew? Again, huge congratulations to Serbia. Their second world championship in a row. And I don't see any reason why they're not going to be a factor in 4 years. It's going to be similarly scary at the top of the world of women's volleyball. And I mean, now the top dog has shifted. It was the United States last year. I thought they were set up to make a serious run at the top for a very long time. And right now it's Serbia without question.
I mean, I think, yeah, in 4 years, but definitely in 2. Right? If you're looking at Paris, you're looking at 2024. I think that they're looking back at their Tokyo experience and thinking that maybe they left a little bit on the table. I think this performance at this World Championships really proves that a little bit. And now the next step is to Paris, right? And I mean, if we want to switch to the next match, the bronze medal match, both of these teams are going to be looking at Paris. And I think one team is looking at it as the defending champions, and the other team is looking at it as be like, hey, this is ours now. Like, we didn't get it done at the World Championships, we need to get it done at the Olympics, because Italy Italy walked all over the USA in the bronze medal match. And
not even close.
I for one am like a little worried about this USA team, right? I won't lie. I think they may have gotten a little lucky, the fact that the tournament didn't cross over. And if it had crossed over, it might have been an earlier exit for them.
This United States performance was kind of about what I expected, to be honest. I don't think this team with that particular roster they could have gotten a great draw and maybe grabbed a medal, but they're not as good straight up as Italy or Serbia. And I think with Brazil, they're stylistically similar enough that it would have been a toss-up, and we didn't see them in the bracket. There's a level of execution on this United States team that's just not there. It's not really there. It starts with the outside hitter position, I think, is the clear difference between that and this this tournament and last year's Olympic gold medal performance. The ball control, the obviously the offensive numbers from the left side were not quite there. I'm more interested in like when Karch sets up a system, which you could argue he's the best in the world at doing this. He brought a team of A- level talent and took him to Olympic gold last year, and they were never touched because of outstanding system play. I worry about this slightly younger group of American players if they have the execution level to execute Karch's systems. Like the way that we defended against Bošković in the Olympics last year versus how we absolutely let her and then Egonu in the bronze medal match slaughter us in 2 matches down the stretch with medals on the line. The level of execution, obviously making plays, but even just being in the right spots to execute game plans was not there at the elite level in this tournament like I have seen it with American teams in the past, like namely last year at the Olympics. So that's the drop-off that I'm a little bit worried about. The execution level of individual players is going to continue to improve. Like I think that Kelsey Robinson and Ali Franti and a bunch of the other outside hitters, as they continue to get touches and national team and pro, will become individually better players. But I don't know how much more they can like learn how to do their jobs or be in the right spots or like understand situations. That just kind of is what it is when you're a player and you understand that stuff. So that's why I'm kind of disappointed in that about the United States, but I'm not really disappointed in the finish. 4th place is okay. And especially with Italy, when they lost a little bit earlier than they expected and they felt like they had unfinished business, they came out and proved it in the bronze medal match. Were clearly the better team from first serve.
100%. One, do you think you would have had a better shot if Italy had won the match in Brazil? It would have been Brazil-USA in the bronze medal match.
Definitely. We matched up way better against Brazil. We're a lot more similar. I think we would have an easier time understanding Brazil's offense and maybe trying to take Gabi out of the game versus taking Paula Egonu out of the game, which we were not at all able to do. Egonu in the bronze medal match, 20 for 38, only 3 errors. And that's kind of been the big thing for Italy this tournament. And for, I mean, anybody who's been critical of Egonu at any point throughout her career has said that she makes too many errors. And when she does not make any errors, Italy wins straight up. And I think that's what very simply happened in the bronze medal game. I mean, only 3 errors plus 4 stuff blocks and an ace. That's going to win you a lot of matches. I think the U.S. would have matched up better against Brazil. I think we've seen that go mostly our way throughout recent history. But I think that Italy deserved a medal in this tournament more than the United States did.
Fair enough. Now, secondly, if I look at this USA team, I see that it's missing 2 things. And now, traditionally, it's missing, and most recently, it's missing this first thing, and that's that one player, that one Tijana Bošković, Paolo Egonu, Isabel Hawk, if you will, level of player that's just going to put the ball down and a go-to athlete, right? I can't remember the last time the USA had a player like that kind of on the wings. But what this USA team misses more from this year than last year. Yes, I 100% think that the execution is a big part of it, but they just don't have that character and that leader that's going to bring them through it. The only person that I really see show any emotion and any type of character and leadership qualities on the sideline and in timeouts is Haley Washington. Like, she's talking and she's positive. She's trying to get them going. But otherwise, like there was a moment I'm pretty sure it was in the semifinal or the bronze medal match. I can't really remember. Where there was a timeout and there was a really lazy, discombobulated, 1-2 USA, and Washington had to get them together and was like, no, we're going to do this together. We're going to do this loud. Like, it was almost like club volleyball level of type of discombobulation on that team. And I'm really thinking that they're missing someone like the Gov, like a Jordan Larson, to really bring this team together and lead this team, because I don't see it right now.
Yeah, I don't see it either. I think Haley Washington and maybe Justine Wong-Orantes are the 2 players that have shown a little bit of leadership this year, but
100%.
it's not there in the same way that Jordan Larson, for example, brought it last year.
Michelle Barch-Hackley.
Or Barch, like that experience. We got a great point in the chat, that sheer unflinching determination of Larson and Barch, hard to replace. Couldn't agree more. And then, I mean, it's also important to point out that in the bronze medal match, the U.S. didn't really play the same lineup that we'd been playing for most of the tournament. I mean, Kara Bajama and who was the other starting outside hitter? Sarah Parsons played big minutes. Lauren Carlini set the entire match. We didn't see Jordan Poulter at all. Didn't see Ali Franti at all in the bronze medal match. So a little bit of moving parts. People had been asking for Carlini to play more, and I think that there were some underset balls and poorly located balls in that bronze medal match that I think will silence a couple of those particular voices.
I mean, I think it's also tough to come in and having not started throughout the entirety of the tournament, pretty much, then you finally get started in the bronze medal match. Maybe there's not rust, but maybe you just don't have that groove going. Maybe you're just a little over eager. I would have liked to see, like, maybe you give her a little bit more time. You had 9 matches in pre-pool play,
could have played her more. Definitely could have played her more.
Give like a little bit of load management. Jordan Poulter is injured. Why not play Carlini against a Kazakhstan, right? Why not even play Carlini against a Canada? You don't need Jordan Poulter against at least 50% of the teams at this tournament.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. There's not that much more to say about this USA performance because I want to talk a little more about Italy and Brazil. But they're kind of in the chat. The USA is broken. I can see another reformation, like tearing things down and building it back up. I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that at all. The way that women's volleyball is right now, it's dominated by absolute monsters, and if your team has one of those players, you're gonna have a chance to win any given tournament. The players that we talked about: Bošković, Egonu, Hack on the club level, Stysiak, Carricker, and the U.S. is never gonna have that. Even if Jordan Thompson had played at this tournament, which I think would have helped, we still wouldn't quite have had that caliber of a player. What the U.S. is always going to be is an outstanding system that's developed from the youth levels that like with the NCAA as a stopping point, with a great coaching staff and unbelievable like mental work and all just the completeness of a true team is what the U.S. is always going to be in women's volleyball. And unless we get like the next Destiny Hooker to come out and play opposite for us, which I don't know of anyone in the pipeline who's going to fill that role. That's okay. You don't need to break down and destroy everything a year after winning Olympic gold because you didn't medal at the World Championship. It's okay. The outside hitter position needs work, obviously. I thought there was a little bit of progress made in this tournament, but there's also going to have to be some leadership that is taught and developed as well that I'm a little more curious to see where that comes from versus just like developing more skilled outside hitters. So that's honestly about all I've got to say about the U.S. I think we should talk a little more about teams that actually walked away with medals.
I do have one more question about the USA, though. Sure. There was one notable omission on the list for this World Championships. That's, of course, Catherine Plummer. We've talked a lot about her on this show. Do you think the U.S. has a better chance with her on the roster?
Yeah, I do think so. I think that she would have been more valuable than Danielle Coutinho at second opposite, at least. Okay. I think if you bring Plummer, I mean, she can hit on the right side, and then you don't have to deal with her in serve reception, which is an option. We've seen that work before in the club game a little bit. I think like with building a roster, you're looking for what utility a player can bring you for that tournament alone, not for the future. And I do think that Plummer would have been more useful in more different situations than Danielle Coutinho was at second opposite. So I could have seen that working out, but I'm not totally sure why she was or wasn't included, and we may never know. But I do expect her to be back in the mix for the push towards Paris for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's up to Karch, and in Karch we trust, right? Well,
yes, we do.
Let's move on to what I thought was one of the most surprising results of the tournament. Italy losing to Brazil pulling out an absolutely masterful performance. And, it was such a yin and the yang after both you and I agreed that they didn't necessarily deserve to win the quarterfinal against Japan, but somehow pulled it through. And then it just completely 180 performance against Italy following that one to win 3-1. For me, you have to look at Anna Carolina being the MVP in this one. 10 blocks in the
double-digit blocks.
6 in the fourth set alone when they dominated. It was a masterful performance. But then on the other side of the net, 16 errors for Paolo Egonu.
Yeah, I mean that's what we look at with Egonu teams a lot. If a team can put her in positions to hit a lot of out of system balls and maybe get a couple stuff blocks in her head early, she can spray the ball out of bounds just a little bit. And that block, not only the blocking, but just the whole team blocking defensive system that Brazil played against Egonu in Italy was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I mean, 10 blocks for Carl was otherworldly. And I mean, she's not a tall player. She's not a tall middle blocker. She's only 1 meter 83, but her blocking physicality and is so ridiculous combined with her instincts and her speed to the wings that her hands are
so good.
Amazing.
So good.
Amazing blocking handwork. I mean, 10 blocks is a ridiculous number. And like you said, they were all so demoralizing in that fourth set when Brazil really started to pull away. And I mean, Italy was down by a mile. What was the run? I mean, it was 19-10. It was 20-11. Like it was over. It was 21-12. Like it was over. And to get that lead, it was just demoralizing stuff blocks and a clinic that I thought Brazil put on. Gabi was brilliant. 20 points, 17 for 46, only 4 errors. Brazil just did a way better job of mitigating errors. And 21 blocks as a team is crazy.
21 blocks as a team for Brazil, 31 attacking errors for Italy, and only 12 for Brazil. So that right there, it like really tells you the story. They just shut them down. Italy made errors, and Brazil just kind of waited it out.
Yeah, they wanted to keep the ball in play and allow themselves in either defense or blocking to score points that way. They had no aces. They weren't serving aggressively. Italy was. Italy 4 aces to 9 errors. But the blocking numbers are as lopsided as I've ever seen, especially on the women's side. And it totally changed the way that Italy had to approach their offense. They were swinging for the fences because they felt like they had to with all the blocking pressure, and the numbers are just lopsided because of it. It was a great performance from Brazil, and I kind of understand them running out of gas a little bit and not being able to repeat that in the final, but a great performance for Brazil in the semis.
Yeah, absolutely. An all-time performance, because neither of us thought that they even had a shot.
Right?
Oh,
no.
Like I didn't think that they had a shot. Like looking like, yeah, Gabby's fantastic, but even in this one, she only scored 20 points, right? She wasn't that great. She was 17 for 46 with 4 errors, but still they didn't have the determination that Italy does and Paolo Egonu. And I thought Italy was gonna be able to float through it, especially the way that we saw Bošković just handle Brazil, right? Just absolutely like handle them. I thought Egonu was going to be able to do something along the lines of that, but Brazil's blocking was absolutely unreal, and so was their defense too. Their defense was fantastic as a team.
So I saw some comments in the chat earlier as well talking about Brazil. Man, Brazil, every time they get to a gold medal match, they choke. They keep walking away with second place. And they do have, I mean, if you ask their national federation, they probably would say that they're not thrilled with the number of silver medals that they have in the last 20 years on both the men's and the women's side, more so the last 10 years. But this particular Brazilian team, I think silver is an outstanding finish. I think they would have been pretty happy with bronze, to be honest. I think that they didn't have as good of a matchup on paper against Italy or Serbia, and to beat one of those two was a really good win, and is going to help Brazil continue to mold who their identity is while they search for a little bit more consistency at the 2 other wings. I think that's kind of what they're missing. They've got the middle. They've got the middle locked down. And we got to give Carol Gattas a shout out at age like what is she, 41? Let me double check that. Yeah, she's 41 and was one of the best middles in this tournament. That's incredible. And you got Gabi on the left. Makris is a great setter. You got Ana Carolina in the middle, but you need a little more consistency at second outside hitter and at opposite. And I think they found out a lot about themselves in this tournament. I think Brazil is going to be a lot better for this performance. And I don't see this as a choke or a disappointment or anything like that. I think that silver for this Brazilian team is an outstanding result, and they should be really happy with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this team is a little bit different than the other teams. They don't have the youth movement that everyone else is. Sure, you have Lorena on the right side, and I mean, she had some great moments, but she also looks really raw and has made some kind of like club volleyball level mistakes out there as well.
Yeah.
So this Brazilian team is going to be interesting to watch over the next little bit, because as I said, they do not have the youth movement going on that some of these other teams have going on. Rob, do we have anything else to talk about the games in the semifinals or anything like that?
We got to touch on this semifinal really quickly.
Sure.
Serbia beating the United States. This was never in doubt. I was happily surprised that the U.S. took a set. But again, like the way that the U.S. played against Tijana Bošković last year in the Olympics versus in this semifinal were night and day different, and in a bad way if you're an American fan. Bošković had her way. 32 for 54 attacking. Only 6 errors is insane. 33 points total. Like we just could not do anything to stop her. And again, I did not like the defensive positioning and the block discipline and the attention to the details of the game plan against Bošković were not there for the U.S., and Serbia was just the better team. So I don't have that much more to say about this semifinal.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was after, like, if you had told me at the beginning of the tournament, I would have said maybe, USA, maybe they're able to push through, remembering back to their VNL performance. But things like USA almost got worse throughout the summer, right? Like if you take where they were in the VNL earlier in the year and how we viewed them, especially coming off that Olympic gold, I thought USA was still kind of on the top, and now I think they're nicely matched at fourth in the world right now. So it's an interesting drop off for me for the USA, but as you've broken it down, I think it's pretty understandable at the same time.
Yeah, I think it is too. I mean, at the elite levels, unless you have a team built like last year's Olympic team that won gold after all those previous disappointments with that core group, when you turn over players of that level of leadership and experience, it's difficult to replace when you don't have a player that you can set 60 balls to in a match to get you 35 points. And the US doesn't have that, and that's okay. I'm curious to see the pieces that are moved around in preparation for Paris, because obviously on talent alone we'll never have a problem qualifying for any Olympic Games on the women's side for the US. Like that will never ever be a problem, and I absolutely trust what Karch is doing with that program, but there will have to be some development done towards medaling again in Paris, and I'm curious to see how that goes.
Now, Rob, I want to turn your attention now to the world rankings.
Yes.
Because when you look at the world rankings after this weekend, they're a little bit interesting. Of course, Serbia, congratulations. You are now the #1 team in the world. That's amazing. However, does Brazil deserve dropping down 2 spots because they lost in the gold medal final of the World Championships, and they're now lower than the team that they beat in the semifinals, so they are previously above?
I hate this. I mean, check it out. I think we've got it up on the screen right now. You can kind of see. You lose 12 ranking points for losing in a gold medal match,
right?
And
whereas when they beat Italy, what was it?
They only got 8. They only got 8 for beating Italy. They only get 1 for beating 1.5 for beating Japan. Only 1 for beating Belgium. They lose 13.5 for losing to Japan earlier in pool play. Like we talked about it with the men's tournament too. There's been this shift in the world ranking system to take it completely away from tournament result and put it only towards individual match result. There's got to be a middle ground here, because while I do think that this order of teams right about now, Serbia, Italy, Brazil, United States, China, Japan, Turkey, I think that's actually about right. But how the points are awarded and taken away, like Brazil losing this many points for a silver medal, is not reasonable. And there's got to be some way that we can do this better in meshing the match win-loss, like each match versus like how deep you go in a tournament.
Yeah, because like at this point, like Russia's like climbing the rankings by not playing. Like,
yeah, they haven't gained or lost any points since September of last year in the Olympics. And I'm not even sure if they got world ranking points for that. They might not have.
No, it would have been at European Championships.
Yeah, I think that might have been it. Yeah, it was last year's Euros. So yeah, they're just kind of chilling there while they're not playing any volleyball and everyone else is moving around them. We've got to be able to do better. We've got to be able to do better with this formula. There's got to be a way to do it.
And I don't mind the aggregate point, like the point system per match. Like I truly don't. But at the same time, I do think that where you finish in a tournament should make a difference, right? Should add. Maybe we don't give the full points as we used to, but like, hey, there's some smart people out there, right? Someone built data volley. Let's just get them to figure it out. Like we need some math people, not boomers in trench coats, guys.
I was gonna say, like, who do you think is in charge of this, and do you think that they can reach out of their trench coat and make any changes? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, you know, what's that that thing that you put the things to count? Like the ancient
the abacus,
abacus.
the old
Yeah.
abacus.
I was thinking basilisk in my head, which, you know,
That is not what that is.
is clearly not this what that is. This isn't Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But
I think the moral of the story is Brazil shouldn't be punished for silver.
no,
They
absolutely
shouldn't
not.
They shouldn't be punished with losing 12 points in a gold medal match of a world championship. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
No, it's completely pointless, and I don't understand it. And to be honest, I'm not going to stand for it, although I have to and have no.
All right, Everett. So we talked about the matches. We talked about the teams. I think there's we covered everything decently well. What more big picture things do you think that there is to say about this Women's World Championship before we wrap up our coverage? Because it has been a long summer of national team season. We have done a lot of work on this show. I think we've done all these tournaments and matches justice, but let's tie a bow on this season right about here.
Well, I think, and speaking specifically on the women's side here,
Of course.
do think that we are, and I've mentioned it before, I've mentioned it today in other episodes, that we're about to enter, or we're entering like a brand new generation of women's volleyball that might be kind of the best ever. Like, if we look at some of the athletes who are playing the game right now and what we were put, you know, the treats that we were put throughout this month, it was incredible. It's going to be interesting to see to me, because I think we've got a bit of a changing in the guard with some new teams kind of popping up. But right now it's very, very clear that there's 4 top teams and kind of everyone else competing, right? And everyone else following. But yeah, ultimately it was a fantastic World Championships. I do think that we need to change the format a little bit. The fact that we have this like East and West Conference type of thing going down, and you've got you don't see half of the tournament until later on. I think that's a big issue. It's a World Championships. There should be crossovers. Don't think we need this many matches. I don't think we need this many matches at a time on the same day. But yeah, ultimately, I love the spot that we're at in the sport in terms of the athletes who are playing it right now, and very thankful to have watched all of it.
That's a pretty good summary. There's some ridiculously good athletes playing women's volleyball right now at the elite levels, and most of them are under the age of 25. And that's the best part, is because it's those great players that we're going to get to watch in the club season as well that are really going to control the game for the next decade. It's going to be really fun to see them slug it out in big matches like a World Championship final throughout the next several years. But yeah, tournament format wise, there's room for improvement there for sure. Matches being played at the same time is the worst, especially when they're quarterfinals. We've already complained about that. The whole like segmenting of like the East and West, like keeping the Poland teams in Poland and the Netherlands teams in the Netherlands only, and having them only play each other until the finals was unfortunate. I wish we could have seen
except for not, because all of the teams started in the Netherlands. Even Poland started in the Netherlands. Like what are we doing over here? It makes no sense.
It's not like they're unwilling to travel in the middle of the tournament because you made one of the hosts play in a different country and then come home. So yeah, there's I mean, it's some of the classic like goofy illogical things that show up in any volleyball world run events, but I think the best matches happen towards the end. We talked about how good those quarterfinals were, Serbia versus Poland and Brazil versus Japan. And even though the medal matches were both sweeps, I think the best team won and the best players really rose to the top. And that's what a world championship is all about.
I'm just a little sad we never saw Ogono versus Bošković. But
that is unfortunate.
But we get like a whole season of that now.
Yeah, we get it in the Turkish league. They're going to play each other a bunch.
In the Turkish league, yeah. Yeah, I think it was great. This Women's World Championship was fantastic. Once again, shout out to my Canadian girls who absolutely rocked it. Best finish in program history. I'm really excited for where our program is going to go. And yeah, a lot of good things to come. But Rob, that's the end of our first international season on the 9x9. And that, like, think about starting at VNL.
What a crazy summer, man. What a crazy summer it was. Yeah, we were on site that first week of men's VNL. We were everywhere, which was incredible. Then we did so much coverage of both VNLs and both world championships. And now here we are, kind of back to where we started last year, but with a significantly more built fan base, which is amazing. Our viewership numbers are awesome, and I think we've kind of established ourselves even amongst, like, I think that there are a lot of players. I think there's more players and more like big people in volleyball that watch this show than we probably think. And I'm not just talking about Eric Shoji, but like I think people are starting to watch this show where we're doing this thing right. So for those of you that have been along with us for the ride since when we started the 9x9 about this time last year, thank you. And for those of you just hopping on throughout our coverage this summer, welcome, because we're not slowing down. We're jumping right back in. No break. We're right back to action on Tuesday, where we'll have a little bit more of wrap up of the entire national team summer, and then we're jumping right back into the club game. So if you're a volleyball fan, this is the right place for you to be.
100%. National team summer wrapped up yesterday. I spent today watching Italian League, watching a little bit of some stuff in Germany as well. Rob, I know you've been tapped into the Poland Plus Liga, and now, yeah, we've got Champions League starting up in the next month or so too. So if you guys want to follow pro volleyball, if you've never followed pro volleyball, then stay right here with us. We'll take you along for the ride. Then also, don't forget, join the Volleyball Source Discord. It's been, we talk about it all the time, but it's been phenomenal. How many people we have in Discord? We're almost at 900.
Yeah, the Volleyball Source Discord is ridiculous. I mean, when I joined it like 2 years ago, there were barely 100 people in there, and
you were like an OG, weren't you?
Not quite that OG. I was in kind of the first main wave of expansion past the people that were doing fantasy volleyball on Discord way back in the day. But I've been there pretty early. There's been a lot of great history moments in the last couple of years of the Discord, so you're going to want to join that. It's part of one of the points I wanted to make is that volleyball in general is in an amazing place, and it's never been easier to be a volleyball fan. It's still tricky, and there's still things about it that we would definitely like to fix if we were able, but compared to like when I was first getting into the game, it was impossible to follow along with anything going on overseas, other than having to, because you didn't know where to look. It was really, really difficult, and now it's way easier than ever before, and I think that we are a decent part of the resources available for people to get into volleyball. The Discord is a huge one, so we're going to continue to do this show every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll just talk about what's going on in the club game, both men's and women's, but the Discord is on 24/7, 365. It's a great resource. There's really knowledgeable people from all over the world that give us insider information all the time. It's and ridiculous memes. It's the best, and it's easier to watch volleyball. It's just there's less like geo-restricted streaming and more online-based stuff than there's ever been. So the Discord, again, is a resource for if you want to find anything about volleyball, there will be someone in there that can point you in the right direction.
Just don't ask us about your form. Don't ask us how you're going to get a better jump serve.
Or your shoes.
Don't ask us where to get, what are the best volleyball shoes. Just go to our volleyball for that. If you want to ask us how at 22 years old and at 5'5" you can make the national team, don't please. If you like volleyball or want to like volleyball and want to talk about it at a level that people talk about it, come hang out. We'd love to have you.
Yep, you're already in the right place. So join the Discord. The link's in the description. Also, I mean, we talked about this on the show we did on Tuesday. So if you're just trying to jump back into the club game, we've got a couple recent videos that'll catch you up on the Italian Superliga, the Polish Plus Liga, Champions League, and then the show we did this past Tuesday was kind of the first regular 9x9 of the club season. You should catch up on those. But we told you all about what you can do to help us with the YouTube algorithm, and it worked. The number of you that liked and also commented on the last episode on Tuesday boosted our viewership hugely, and so it really does work. If I don't want to be the cringy YouTuber, but if you like the video and also you leave a comment on the video after the live stream's over, it helps our videos reach more people who aren't already subscribed to the channel. So that is a way that you can definitely help us out.
Awesome. If you liked this video, leave us a comment where you're watching from.
Yeah. Do that. Easy enough. And then join the Discord, and you can also let us know where you're watching from. So I think that's it, Everett. I think we did it. Our World Championship coverage is finally at an end. Congrats again to Serbia. Congrats to the Italian men. And national team season is over. We'll be back on Tuesday to tie a bow on it just a little bit more, but we're jumping right back into the club game because, as we know, there are no breaks in the volleyball calendar.
No, never. Not for the players and not for us. Thanks, guys, for being along on this ride. If you've joined us on this ride, as Rob said, thank you so much for joining us and participating and just watching, right? We wouldn't do it if no one was watching. So we thank you. And yeah, to bigger and better things.
To bigger and better things. Enjoy your Sunday nights, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you on Tuesday, regular time, regular place, and we'll see you in the Discord before then. Thanks for watching.
Peace.